15 Things You Didn't Know About Christopher Nolan. Welcome to Alux.com, the place where future billionaires come to get informed. Hello Aluxers, and welcome back to another exciting original video presented by Alux.com. Today we're revealing some interesting, lesser-known facts about English director, screenwriter, and producer Christopher Nolan. Christopher Nolan was born July 30th, 1970 in London, England. He knew from a young age he wanted to be a film director, so he went on to study film and English at the University College London, where he met his wife, Emma Thomas. After paying his dues as a script reader and camera operator, he directed his debut film, Following, in 1998. This was quickly followed by his first mainstream success, Memento. He's made a total of 10 feature films in his 20-year career, and each has been successful in its own right. He also helps to write and produce almost all of his films. He's now one of the highest-paid directors in Hollywood, and is also thought of as one of the most innovative directors of his time. If you're new here, welcome! Be sure to subscribe and follow us on Instagram at Alux. We want to learn some more about Christopher Nolan because he's at the top of his game, and we're inspired by his ambition, success, passion, and creativity. So, it's time now to take a look at this influential director with the 15 things you didn't know about Christopher Nolan. Number 1. He started making films at the age of 7. Christopher developed an interest in filmmaking at a very young age. When he was only 7 years old, he borrowed his father's Super 8 camera and made films featuring his action figures. When he was 8, he created a stop-motion animation movie that he titled Space Wars. As you can imagine, it was heavily influenced by his love of Star Wars. By the time he turned 11, he had decided he wanted to be a professional filmmaker. Number 2. His films The Dark Knight and The Dark Knight Rises both grossed over $1 billion. Nolan's most successful films by far were the second and third in the Dark Knight trilogy. The Dark Knight was released in 2008 and grossed just over $1 billion. He completed the trilogy with The Dark Knight Rises in 2012. This has the distinction of being Nolan's most financially successful film, with a worldwide gross of $1.08 billion. It's currently the 21st highest-grossing film of all time. Number 3. He's had dual British and American citizenship since birth. Although Christopher was born in London and currently sounds British, he has also been American since birth thanks to his American mother, Christina, who worked as an English teacher and a flight attendant. Nolan actually split his early years as a child between London and Illinois. Number 4. He funded his first feature film himself. After being rejected for funding countless times, Nolan pulled together enough funds to create his first feature film in 1998. The movie, called Following, was filmed with a budget of approximately $4,000 and was shot over the course of a year on the weekends with his friends as the cast. He wrote, directed, and edited the film himself and produced it along with his wife. It received much attention and awards from film festivals and paved the way for his opportunity to film Memento 2 years later, which was his major breakthrough hit. Number 5. His net worth is over $305 million. In 1998, Nolan had a net worth that was around $2.5 million, but the next 2 decades would prove to be very profitable for him. He got a $69 million payday for the 2010 film Inception. He earned $121 million for directing Interstellar in 2014, and he also earned $125 million for Dunkirk. He now makes about $20 million per movie, plus a percentage of the final gross, which is usually 20%. His current net worth is estimated to be over $305 million. Number 6. He said he's never received any support in the British film industry. Nolan said in his early career he couldn't get any interest in his projects in the British film industry. He remembers piling up a stack of rejection letters, and he stated that the film industry in Britain is very wary of giving new directors a chance, so he never received any support for his career in Britain. He found Hollywood to be much more open and willing to take a chance on him. Number 7. He was sued by the city of Batman in Turkey. In 2008, Nolan and Warner Brothers were sued by the small city of Batman in Turkey, which claimed they used the city's name without permission. The mayor of Batman claimed the city had exclusive rights to the name and should get royalties every time it's used. He was also seeking compensation for the psychological effect Nolan's movies would have on his residents. Of course, the lawsuit was dismissed, and many people thought it was basically a publicity stunt, although it was never really clear. Number 8. He sent an apology to the Netflix CEO after criticizing their business model. In 2017, Nolan remarked in an interview that Netflix would never be able to compare to the theatrical movie experience, and he also said Netflix's model of releasing films in theaters the same day they release them on their streaming service is unsustainable, and said they weren't even getting in the game. He almost never uses email, but felt compelled to email Netflix's CEO an apology. Although he says he apologized for his rudeness and for being undiplomatic, he says he stands by all of those statements. Number 9. Several of his films were co-written with his brother. Although he doesn't gain quite as much attention as Christopher, his brother Jonathan Nolan has worked on a number of high-profile shows and films, including several he co-wrote with Christopher. He created the CBS television series Person of Interest, and he is notably also the co-creator of the HBO series Westworld. Together with his brother, he helped write Memento, The Prestige, The Dark Knight Rises, and Interstellar. Number 10. Someone bought the Batsuit he helped to design for $250,000. Nolan had a specific vision for his Batman trilogy, and that vision extended into a new iteration of the Batsuit. The distinctive suit that he helped design, which was worn by Christian Bale in The Dark Knight and The Dark Knight Rises, was auctioned off in 2016 for $250,000. Batman's motorcycle, otherwise known as the Batpod, which was also conceptualized by Nolan, sold for $430,000 in the same auction. By the way, if you're interested in expensive motorcycles that can actually be driven, click in the upper right-hand corner to watch our video, The Top 10 Most Expensive Motorcycles in the World. Number 11. His production company only has 4 employees. In the early 2000s, Christopher Nolan set up his own production company along with his wife called Syncope Inc. The company is based in London, England, and comprised of only 4 employees, including Nolan and his wife. Although it's a small operation, they've worked on some of the biggest films of Nolan's career, including the Dark Knight trilogy, The Prestige, Inception, Interstellar, and Dunkirk. The only non-Nolan film they've produced was the 2013 Superman movie Man of Steel, which brought in $668 million at the box office. Number 12. He often hides meaning in his characters' names. As a screenwriter, Nolan takes joy in hiding hidden meanings in his scripts, and one of his favorite ways to do this is through the character names. For example, in The Prestige, a movie about magicians, Nolan made the initials of his characters Alfred Borden and Robert Angier spell out Abra in a short version of the common magician's word abracadabra. Also in Inception, the first letter of the main characters of Dom, Robert, Ames, Arthur, Mal, and Sato spell out dreams. Number 13. He was nominated for an Academy Award for Best Director for the first time in 2018. Up until this year, one of the most glaring snubs regarding Academy Awards in recent years was that Nolan had never been nominated for an Academy Award for Best Director. Many thought his lack of nomination for the 2010 film Inception was one of the most egregious oversights in Oscar nom history. As one of the most innovative, groundbreaking, and successful directors of this era, it's certainly surprising that he, as a director, has been overlooked by the Academy for at least 20 years. He finally received his first directing nomination in 2018 for Dunkirk, but he unfortunately lost the award to Guillermo del Toro, who directed The Shape of Water. Number 14. Spielberg was originally supposed to direct Interstellar. In 2006, Paramount Pictures announced they would be developing a science fiction film, which would be directed by Steven Spielberg. In 2007, Jonathan Nolan was chosen to write the screenplay for what would become Interstellar. When Spielberg moved his DreamWorks production studio to Walt Disney from Paramount in 2009, the movie was left without a director. Jonathan submitted his brother's name for consideration for the role, and in 2012, Christopher was hired as the director. The movie went on to make over $677 million worldwide. Number 15. He's the 6th highest grossing director worldwide. Nolan's 10 films have brought in a collective $4.7 billion at international box offices, making him the 6th highest grossing director in the world, behind David Yates, James Cameron, Michael Bay, Peter Jackson, and Steven Spielberg. And there you have it, Aluxers, some interesting, lesser-known facts about Christopher Nolan. Now that you've learned some more about him, we'd like to know, which of Nolan's films is your most and least favorite? Let us know in the comments. Still here? Of course you are. Here's a bonus fact just for you. Number 16. He doesn't own a cell phone. Nolan says that he has never owned a cell phone, and he doesn't plan to own one anytime soon. He said he's never been bothered to get one and doesn't find it necessary because everyone around him owns one, so if someone needs to reach him, they can simply contact one of his close associates. He says not having a smartphone helps him to avoid wasting time and gives him more time to think. He additionally prohibits cell phone use on set. He also does not have an email address. If someone wants to contact him through email, they have to go through his assistant, and then he reads out the printed emails when necessary. Thank you for spending some time with us, Aluxers. Make sure to like and subscribe so you never miss another video. We also handpicked these videos, which we recommend you watch next. Thank you for being an Aluxer, and we'll see you back tomorrow.